Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hey guys, back with me Shakira on Cahaya Hadis, a podcast that discusses Islam from its main source, namely the Hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In this episode, we enter into the second theme that is no less interesting about marriage from the perspective of Hadith. Well, the first topic we want to discuss today is something that might still be considered taboo in some societies. Can a woman propose to a man? The hadith was narrated by Imam Muslim from Ali radhiyallahu anhu. He said, "Khatabtu ila Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam amra'atan faqala la takhtub ala khitbati akhik." Meaning, I proposed to a woman in the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he said, "Do not propose on the proposal of your brother." Hadis riwayat Muslim. From this hadis, we can take two important lessons. First, a strict prohibition on proposing to a woman who has been proposed to by someone else, as long as there is no certainty of rejection or cancellation from the woman's side. It is a form of ethics and respect in the marriage process. But interestingly, this hadith indirectly shows that the khitbah process is open. It does not always have to come from the male side. Even scholars agree that a woman can express her desire to marry either directly or through intermediaries. And here is a very famous example. Sayyidah Khadijah radhiyallahu anha herself would propose to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam through her confidence. In today's day, a woman who expresses her good intention to marry a goodly man is no longer taboo. It can even be a solution to prevent marriage delay or falling into relationships that are not clear in the direction. Guys, of course, the method must still be polite, respectful, and in accordance with Islamic norm or local culture. It can be through parents, teacher, ustad, or trusted friends. So, the conclusion, it's okay, even recommended if it's done in a good way. The intention must be clear, the path must be Sharia, and still maintain self-honor. Well, this time we will move on to the next topic that is no less important in marriage matters, namely the issue of marriage guardians. In a hadith narrated by Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "La nikaha illa biwaliyin wa shahidai adl." Meaning, marriage is not valid unless there is a guardian and two fair witnesses. This hadith very clearly states that wali is a valid condition for marriage, in addition to the presence of two witnesses. The guardian is in charge of ensuring that the marriage takes place correctly, without coercion, and in an atmosphere of mutual pleasure. This guardian is especially important for women because she is the person responsible for maintaining her honor and right in the contract process. For example, a biological father, paternal grandfather, or a sibling. However, there are indeed differences of opinion among scholars about whether or not guardians are mandatory. In the Shafi'i, Maliki, and Hanbali schools, wali is an absolute requirement. Without a guardian, the marriage contract is considered invalid. Meanwhile, the Hanafi schools allows a woman who is mature and sensible to marry without a guardian, as long as she is married to a partner who is of the same sex and meets other conditions. So, how is it applied today? In Indonesia, we follow the opinion of the majority of scholars, namely that guardians are mandatory and must be in the marriage contract. Even if the guardian of the nasab does not exist, it will be replaced by the guardian of the judge, according to the rules of the KUA. But in some Western countries, which follow the opinion of the Hanafi school, marriage can still be considered valid by the courts even without a guardian, especially in certain cases such as non-Muslim parents or guardians who do not carry out their responsibilities. So guys, the conclusion, the function of the guardian is not just a formality, but a form of protection and guarantee that the marriage contract runs in accordance with the Sharia and protects women's rights. After previously we discussed khitbah and the role of guardians in marriage. Now we get to the next important point that is often talked about as well, namely the issue of dowry. In a hadith narrated by Imam Bukhari, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-tamis walau khotaman min hadid," meaning, look for something or as a dowry, even if it is only a ring of iron. This hadith shows that dowry is something that is obligatory in marriage. But Islam never complicates matters, guys. The Prophet ﷺ even allowed something very simple, even just an iron ring, to be used as a dowry. Why is that? Because in Islam, the essence of dowry is not in its value, but in the intention, symbol of appreciation, and respect of a husband toward his wife. And the dowry is the full property of the wife and cannot be taken back except by her will. The dowry can be in the form of money, gold, goods, or even something non-material such as memorizing the Quran, teaching knowledge, or certain services that are agreed. Well, unfortunately, in this day and age, there are still many cases where dowry is actually used as a burden. Consequently, not a few couples end up postponing or even canceling. Consequently, not a few couples end up postponing or even canceling their marriage because of expensive costs. In fact, Islam makes it easier, not more difficult. So, for all of us, both men and women, it is very important to return to the Islamic principle in looking at dowry. Fair, light, and meaningful. Friends, marriage in Islam is not just a cultural or customary affair. This is worship, and therefore Islam provides clear guidance, starting from the ethic of proposing, the importance of guardians, to the beauty of dowry. All of them have one purpose: to protect and honor both parties, men and women, and to maintain the integrity and blessings of the household. Let's keep the intention in implementation of marriage so that it is always in accordance with Sharia value, without burden, without prestige, and full of blessing. Thank you for being faithful to Cahaya Hadis. In the next episode, we will get into a new and more sensitive theme, talak and reveral. We will discuss the types of talak, the stories of the companions, and the valuable lesson behind them. I think I am going to go ahead and do it. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.